So the 2026 Shelby Super Snake R is here, and it's not the Shelby we were hoping for. And honestly, this Shelby formula is getting a little bit old. Hey guys, welcome to Red 58. Today we're going to be talking about the 2026 Shelby Super Snake R. I feel like that's a lot of words, but this was the new Shelby that was just revealed yesterday by Shelby America. This is not a Ford product. It is not the Shelby GT500, GT350, but we have a Shelby America product similar to their Shelby GT350 for the S650 Mustang. And we'll talk about everything on it, but I think it's just this whole formula is getting a little bit old, and maybe Shelby America is a little desperate to just get some sales in. But just to highlight some of the features, it's gonna be based on the Mustang Dark Horse. So it's gonna build it on top of the Dark Horse, whereas the Shelby GT350 was built based on the S650 Mustang GT. So you're gonna get a 5-liter supercharged V8 with 850 horsepower, available with a Tremec manual and also a 10-speed automatic transmission. And I feel like this formula that Shelby has been doing, they did it with the GT350 too. I mean, GT350 is such an iconic name, especially with the 5.2-liter engine that they had with the S550 Mustang. I would have expected the GT350 name to have something more special than just a Mustang GT built up with a supercharged Whipple kit, essentially. And this one is no different. We have a Shelby Super Snake R, which is another 5-liter supercharged V8. Of course, that's not all the highlight of it. You get a lot of suspension enhancements. You got MagneRide and really track-focused Mustang. Nothing like the GT500 or the GT350 from the S550, but you get a lot of suspension components. Of course, the looks-wise, you get a massive wing, you get front splitter, and there's carbon fiber everywhere, like literally everywhere. And that's the treatment they did with the Shelby GT350. They had the Super Snake already, then they announced the Shelby GT350 a few months back, and it had carbon fiber everywhere. Like, you could option a package, and I saw it in person at the Ford Nationals, and trust me, it had carbon fiber everywhere. It looks good, but it costs a pretty penny. So this Shelby Super Snake R is going to be costing $225,000. Yes, you heard me correctly. $225,000 for pretty much a built-up Mustang Dark Horse. Now, of course, it doesn't look anything like the Mustang Dark Horse because you've got a lot of visual enhancement, like the massive wing, the front splitter, and of course the carbon fiber and the white body. So it looks a lot different, but the car starts off as a Mustang Dark Horse. We were really hoping to see a true Shelby, or I guess this is the true Shelby, but we were hoping to see the Ford Shelby GT500. There's been a lot of spy shots that have been circulating around where we see the vertical exhaust tips. So I'm excited for that announcement. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Ford no longer has the rights to be able to use the Shelby name. So we might actually get a completely different name than a Shelby name, which is why we've got Shelby America using their names, the GT350, now the Super Snake R. But when Ford comes out with a variant that is above Mustang Dark Horse, it's probably going to be called something else, and it's not going to be called a Shelby. That's just my speculation. Maybe they'll use the Cobra or Boss, but I feel like Boss was also kind of like what the Dark Horse and Mach 1 is like. It's a track-focused 5.0 Mustang. So Boss 302 wouldn't make sense. My guess is they might just come out ahead with a Cobra nameplate if they actually cannot use the Shelby nameplate. Now let's talk about the Super Snake R, starting off at $225,000. I think it's one of those cars that if you got way too much money, definitely not me, and you just want to have something special, that's what you buy. It is a true Shelby America car. Ironically, the Shelby that Ford produced, like the GT350, the GT500, have more brand recognition than the Shelby variants. Shelby has always done these vehicles with the Super Snake. They did it for S550 as well. And for as long as I can remember, they were pretty much souped up Mustang GTs, and that's what they did with this one too. It's either a souped up Mustang GT or a souped up Mustang Dark Horse. And to me, they just never appeal to me because you pay so much more money. Of course, it is a true Shelby vehicle, so you get a serial vehicle that is potentially gonna, carry more value as a collector's edition, but as just a car with like good performance and all of that stuff, I have to say that the Ford's version of Shelby cars, the licensed version of the GT500, GT350, carries a lot more brand recognition than Shelby cars ever have, unless you're a true collector and you want a specific Shelby vehicle, not a Ford Shelby vehicle. And mind you, this is starting at $225,000, so it could probably be spec'd to $250,000, $270,000. The ZR1 starts at $175,000 or $180,000. I don't know anyone who would pay $225,000 to get a Super Snake Mustang when they can get a ZR1. You're making 1,000+ horsepower. It looks a lot more exotic and just a lot better product than the Shelby Super Snake R will ever be. I made the same comment when they announced the Super Snake or even the Shelby GT350. I honestly don't get the point of these cars because they're so expensive and they're not special. At least if they had used 5.2 liter engine or even a 7.3 liter engine, it makes it special where you probably cannot get the same product if you were to go Ford route. Even if you got the Mustang GT, yeah, you can supercharge it, yeah, you can make it fast around the corners and straight line, but it has the engine or transmission option that you just truly cannot get. But with this product, you could build similar looking vehicle. Of course, not the wide body or actually you could probably get carbon fiber too, but not the wide body, for like fraction of the cost. You could start off with the Mustang Dark Horse for 60 grand, and you could put 40-50 grand into it to really make it truly special, and you'll still be around $100,000. If you want to do the bare minimum, you put a Whipple kit, maybe some supporting mods, in $20,000-$25,000, you're done. You have a vehicle that is literally 1/3 of the price of the Super Snake. So I get the appeal of the Super Snake where it's a serial vehicle and it's more special, but who is paying that kind of money? I always laugh when they come out with these announcements with the Super Snakes and the Shelby GT350 when they came out to Shelby America cars, basically, because to me it's just a souped up Mustang GT. And if I ever had that kind of money and I was a huge Mustang fan, I would get a GT500. Heck, I would even get a GTD if I could afford it before I would put the money into these Shelby vehicles, because they're just built up Mustang GTs or Mustang Dark Horse, which just doesn't make them that special. But I mean, there we have it. We have a Super Snake R starting at $225,000, which is just saying that, I mean, that just sounds crazy. But it's got the Coyote supercharged engine making 850 horsepower. It's going to be very fast around the track and the straight line because it's got a lot of suspension component, massive wing, and the front splitter. And it's going to be, of course, extremely limited quantity. So it is going to have a special factor because it's going to be only certain amounts that are going to be built, unlike the GT500, GT350, where it is a limited production run, but you still got thousands of them sitting around, basically. With this one, it's going to be, I don't know if they reveal how many units are going to be sold, but I have to say it's probably very limited amount, like 500 to 1,000, because with the GT350R, it was like around 2,000 units or something like that they're going to produce. So it's going to be extremely limited quantity. So that's the only factor, at least in my opinion, that will make it a little bit more special than a normal Mustang. But yeah, guys, there we have it, the new Super Snake R. Comment below, what are your thoughts? I think it's definitely overpriced for what you get, but maybe there are people who would prefer to get that where you still have the Super Snake R that is a true Shelby vehicle. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to smash that like button and, of course, subscribe to Red 50 for more videos.